we're having a real laugh tonight. So we're talking about ghost hunting shows and what our favourites are. So, what was your first one?
Oh, see, it's probably going to be one of yours as well. That will probably have to say Ghost Hunters was probably the first one that I'd watched and enjoyed. It didn't seem too far fetched.
Well, that wasn't the first one for me. I actually actual shows. The first one for me was Paranormal State, and I liked it, but getting into it, it was very much a demonic based thing. But that's the one that
But you
introduced
don't
me.
like that word.
I know, and that's part of the reasoning behind it. But that's the one that introduced me to Lorraine Warren and everything. So it was
So
good.
was it before or after that you got into taps?
I knew about Taps, but I never really watched their shows. It's funny because when I first started out with the team, it was a different team, not Wapper, and I joined the team, and I actually had more gear myself than the entire team had, and they started borrowing all my stuff and disappearing all over these buildings. And I thought, yeah, this isn't right. This isn't right. If I want to do this, I'll start my own up, and that's what I did. And then I thought, I'll start watching some of these shows just to see how the team structured themselves so I could set it up right. And that's when I really got into Ghost Hunters, which is, Jason and Grant back then. And I like the way they set it up, but I think they had the K2s in the first season or two of that, which I had, and used to have a tri-field and things like that. And I like the way that they would debunk things. It was one of the more credible shows for me.
Well, compared to a lot of other ones that I've seen, they kind of seem like one that you stick with. But there have been some really terrible ones too. that could come to mind. It's like I was saying earlier, some are good, some are mediocre, and some are just, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I start watching just about everything, and like you said, you soon realise a lot of it's staged, a lot of it's done specifically for the TV audience.
That's what ruins it for us smaller people that actually are interested in it and want to debunk it and want to find out what's real and what's not. Is you get these other small shows going, bigger shows on bigger cable companies going, oh, well, we can do this. Well, yeah, how about you show people what you do before you edit it?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that happens is, like I said, we shot our first episode for a show that was supposed to happen here in WA. But what happened was, when it got put to the networks, they said, we love it, but to pay out money to do a show here, it's cheaper for them just to buy one from the United States. So that's why it's hard for us to get a show off the ground over here. We did get one, which Rob, Alan, Ray, and a few others were all involved with, but that was it wasn't an Australian show. I think it was an international show that was based here, so the money was still coming from somewhere else.
That was still a spin-off of another one that had started.
Yes.
Or a sibling to a parent show.
No, I think it was an individual show in its own right, but they used people that had been in different shows just to beef it up. So in that respect, it did have connections to a lot of other shows as well, and I'm talking about Haunting Australia, obviously. Now, I've seen plenty of specials based, which are just a one-off type show, and one that I loved was one on the Old York Hospital, and that is one creepy place, but unfortunately it's in private hands now, so we can't get out there even if we wanted to.
No, it's like a lot of places, like we were saying earlier. It's here. It's limited, and what you can and can't get into, people may have already been to thousands of times.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones that you want to get into are private property, privately owned. You need to jump through hoops to try and get to them, and it just, by the time you're halfway through it, it's not worth pursuing much anymore.
Now, talking about Ghost Hunters, the obvious lead on from that was Ghost Hunters International. Now,
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I like some of the people in the show, not so much some of the others, but I loved the setup where they were just traveling all over the world, going to some of these absolutely awesome places.
Yeah, when you put Gordon Ramsay in there and you've got a cooking show. What are your thoughts on Ghost Adventures?
to be totally honest with you. I liked the first couple of seasons, but when you hear them turn around and they say, we've got a Class A EVP, and all you hear is... and they write something down underneath it, you try to make it work in your head so you can hear it, but when you still can't hear it, that is not a Class A EVP. And again, I like some of the locations that they went to, but after like Pavalia Island, which it's on my bucket list, I think it started to get to them. And obviously, for people who know what's going on in the news and everything, with obviously Nick leaving the show, and then I don't think it's a secret about all the talks about what's his name, Zach, getting one of Nick's shows cancelled.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Just in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, I stopped watching it after about season 4 or 5 because I just thought it was the same old all the time, and it was a lot of Zach walking around in his little Rebel Spirit shirts, looking all cool and showing his muscles off and all that sort of crap. Posing for the girls.
Your Rebel Spirit shirt?
I do, but I don't flash them around like that. I've actually got 2. I had more, but they're gone now. So yeah, I stopped watching that just because I didn't find them credible. I mean, in all honesty, when I think back, a lot of the stuff in the early seasons I didn't find credible either, but it was fun to watch, but you do get sick of it after a while.
That is the hard bit. You watch a few episodes, there's nothing credible, and you just go, what am I watching?
Yeah.
But it's like they'll give any sort of celebrity with a camera the rights to a show and go, hey, look, make it work. Like,
I know where you're going with this.
Where am I going?
Osborne?
Yeah, with his portals to hell.
Yeah.
It's just funny. You give someone money and they can put whatever title they want in front of their name.
Oh, the worst one. I mean, I'm going right to recent times now. There was this show, I can't even remember what it's called because I had an absolute brain fart watching the show.
It wasn't BuzzFeed, was it?
No. It was 2 girls, this American actress and this Australian singer, neither of which I know of. And they go across America in this little van, and they're supposed to be investigating ghosts, and they're supposed to be investigating witchcraft and all that sort of stuff. It's on one of our streaming services over here. And
2 Girls, One Ghost?
Who?
2 Girls, One Ghost?
No, it's not that. I know everybody from WAPA knows about it because apparently when I started to watch it, Lynn goes, oh, they've all said it's crap. I said, no, I've got to give it a go. And literally...
So now you've got me intrigued because I don't know what it is
well,
myself.
The next bit is probably going to get you very intrigued. In the first 10 or 15 minutes of it, you see them walking around in nighties, their knickers showing, having bloody all sorts of fights, which is probably good for these 12 and 13-year-old boys that are getting into ghost hunting that way. But
Gary...
actual ghost hunting, no.
If I do that, I get charged with indecent exposure.
Well, you bloody well should be as well. and again, they go into some of these places and while a lot of people might think it's entertainment, and a lot of people watching the show might know exactly the one I'm talking about. One of the Aussie girl is a blonde girl, and the American actress is a dark-haired girl. I don't know either of their names. You'll probably find it, and hopefully put it in the comments if you can see it.
But someone can find out which one it is.
Oh, I can walk out there and have a look and find it, but I just can't remember which streaming service it's on. But watching them do some of the crap that they do gives everybody a bad name, and I find it very disrespectful to real paranormal investigators. I know it's entertainment, but you know.
But you got to have that line between entertainment and taking the piss.
Yeah.
Because it discredits a lot of stuff that we put time and effort into.
Yes. And
it makes it hard for people to go, oh yeah, you guys are investigating the paranormal. Oh well, I watched this and they said this, and this. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Now, I know.
Frustrating.
I know there's a show out of the UK that everybody knows, and that is Most Haunted. Now, yes, as fake as they come, but what I can say is I personally knew Derek Akora, and he actually filled me in on a lot of the stuff that used to go on behind the scenes. and about the falling out he had with them and stuff like that before David Wells came and replaced him. Now, I was obviously I watched some of his shows before he came over here, and he actually came out with Wapper, and we did an investigation. Now, this was it was set up that only I knew where we were going, so we all arranged to meet at a local place, the Lucky Shag down in Perth there, and so we had a bit of a meet and greet. We ran a competition on the Wapper page, and 20 odd people got invited to come and meet him and get their photos with him and stuff like that. So they loved it. But that's all they knew. They were meeting there, and then I was going to take them to the actual location. Now, for many reasons, I can't really say the building that it was. It's a very, very serious and prestigious building in Perth that has a history to it. Now, he did a walk around this building. He started touching it, and he started picking up, doing his little channel-y thing that he used to do, and he said it was a school. And I thought, I've already caught you out, mate. No, it's not a school. But the historian that we had with us confirmed that. It used to be a school, this building. And I went, oh, crap. Now, we walked in through the back, so he never saw what it was like from the front. And we had security with us and stuff, but luckily for us, the security were actually a couple of his fans, and they didn't do much securing that night. And there's this big corridor down the back, and we walked all the way down it, and he was looking at all these pictures of the people that worked in this building. I'm trying very hard not to say what it was. And he stopped beside this one particular portrait, and they're all sort of like chest up type portraits, you know. And he started walking, and he was sort of limping around and everything, and he had this right hobble as he was walking back. And I thought, there you go, what's going on here? And again, the historian actually confirmed that that person in that portrait from about 80 years ago had an accident, and he walked with a limp, and he actually had a walking stick, which there was nothing in there because each one had a little write-up at the bottom about it all, but none of that was known. You couldn't tell that from what this was. So when we went through the rest of the building, I was like, yeah, this guy's the real deal. Yes, he is very animated. I saw what you would see if you watched one of the episodes of Most Haunted, and you see when he channels and he gets all the way he gets. That's what he was like in reality, but he was so spot on with everything. He picked up stuff that I didn't even know about, and I thought I knew a lot about it. The historian confirmed a lot of what he was said, and what you've got to remember is nobody, not even anybody else in my team, knew where we were going that night. I arranged the whole thing, so nobody could feed information to him at all. So I 100% believe Derek Akora was the real thing. Sadly, he's no longer with us. His wife Gwen, she's a lovely lady, and got to meet her as well. And in fact, I was going to get up. I've got actually a picture with him on the wall at the back there, but if I get up, you'll see me tracky ducks and everything. So I don't want to ruin this illusion.
Well, at least you're wearing pants.
Yeah. So when you watch a lot of these shows, yes, a lot of it is faked, but there are some genuine bits in there. But the problem is, when things get faked, it does take away from the reality of stuff, and that is what every real paranormal team has to deal with because a lot of these shows.
It costs you time and places.
Yeah, exactly.
It's frustrating to say the least.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So,
yeah, go on.
I forgot what I was going to say. With the whole paranormal shows, the fiction, non-fiction, have you looked at? See, I've seen shows like entertainment shows, not ghost hunting shows, investigation shows, that have shown more of what it's actually like than what it is you see on these other shows that are supposed to be showing you what ghost hunting is like or paranormal investigation is like. And one of them is it sounds. So have you watched Lockwood and Co?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
pure entertainment, but I enjoyed it. They used a lot of stuff that, being a paranormal investigator myself, I knew exactly what they were saying when they would talk about things,
Yes.
which would get lost in a lot of normal people. Well, I say normal people. People who just watch the show for entertainment and they don't actually go out investigating. And yeah, I actually enjoyed it as pure entertainment.
Yeah. I
That's the one where
some
they
of
had the
that.
swords and everything, wasn't it?
Pardon?
That's the one where they carried the swords, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's sad when you watch something like that and it makes more sense than half these other paranormal investigation shows out there.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I think if you took Paranormal State, I think was done really well, but because everything kept going to a religious demonic, that word again.
Ooh.
I mean, it wasn't every case, but there was a definite story arc to each of the investigations. There were some of them that were actually gave me goosebumps watching them. So they were good, but I think in relation to what every normal team would do, I think the original TAPS, Ghost Hunters, are probably the closest to what we would do. So I do respect what they do for that, and I'd love to get Jason on for an interview at some point. But
Yeah,
again,
that would be nuts.
no. Well, I was invited. I've been invited to be part of 3 shows in the US. Now, one of them never got off the ground. Well, in fact, none of them really got off the ground, but some got a lot closer than others. And I've actually still got on the computer here somewhere the auditions, and some of these guys have been in other TV shows now. I think Rob Damaris was in there. This guy from, I think, Paranormal Cops or something like that, one of the guys in that. And it's interesting to see the process of what you have to go through to get one of these shows. Now, you have to sign your NDAs and things like that. But when you get to a point where I saw contracts, there was a friend of mine, I don't really catch up with them anymore. When she got a TV show, she actually sent me her contract to have a look at. And part of the clause in there says that they can use your likeness, they can use your photo, they can use your video, and they can use your voice in any way, shape, or form that they want to. So they can really put something out of context and make it. They can really shape the public's opinion of what you like. Now, on that show
as well.
That show actually aired, and I knew 2 of the people that were in that show, and I was in contact with them while they were actually going to these different locations, and they were telling us about them. And you can probably find the show somewhere. I'm probably not even. I'll name it. I had to look it up because it's been that long. It was Haunted Encounters Face to Face.
Yeah.
Now, again, I like the way they would go into a place. Now, Helmy, I knew him, and he was the tech guy. I didn't know Daniel, and I didn't know Jordan, but I knew Chelsea. And they started coming out with these weird names for, I can't remember now, an EVP session was, or a spirit box session was Pandora or something like that. And then they went into this whole, we're going to do a recreation of everything. I think they called it a Stitch in Time or something like that. And it gets too gimmicky. I know if I don't talk to them anymore because after the show finished, they all sort of went in their own directions because it wasn't really as big a hit as what they were expecting. So they kind of just fizzled away. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good, And I think that's a lot of the problem with a lot of these shows is it's not what they capture, it's how it all gets put together and what the TV executives decide goes in there.
How it's all conveyed to people.
Yeah, and it's all about making them look good on TV. And
what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts about like shows like Ghost Asylum and I suppose it's still bigger shows, but
I honestly don't even know if I've seen that one.
Didn't watch Ghost Asylum?
No. I mean, there's a lot that I haven't seen, and
That was by a group. I think it was the Tennessee Wraith Chasers.
I've heard of them, yeah.
They were the ones that ran that show. They weren't bad. I found them a little bit more credible with some of their stuff, but the way that they went through it to make certain things to try and capture stuff kind of seemed a bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
Like they would make like a metal structure that was a square with like a fencing mesh put through it that was electrified. And using it
they're trying to make
stuff.
a Faraday cage and stuff like that.
Pretty much that sort of stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, it was interesting, but it's kind of like, well, are you doing this for views, or have you got some sort of scientific backing behind it?
Well, there is scientific backing behind using a Faraday cage.
I know there is for a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
That's physics. That's Faraday's first or third law.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was different.
Where there was this TV show. It was these two brothers. I can't remember their names now, but I think it was called Ghost Labs. And the big thing for them was they had this big trailer, and of course they'd roll up to any location, and they had their little hot blonde and all that sort of stuff. And everything was set up like the duck's nuts inside this trailer with monitors everywhere, and everything was cabled in, so they didn't have to set stuff up inside a house. They would set stuff up for monitoring from the trailer, and then they would go in doing their things. And I liked that idea. I thought that was pretty cool. But where I started to lose it was where in every second show or third show, it's, somebody died in the bath, so we're going to put the blonde in the bath, and she comes out in a skimpy little bikini and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, she did look good in the bikini, but again, it takes away from the fact that it's a paranormal research show. They call me a nerd and stuff like that, but when you watch a show like that, you want to watch what they're doing, because teams like ours, we'll watch some of these shows and we'll go, I like the way they do that. Let's incorporate that in one of our investigations. Now, going back to Paranormal State, they introduced me to the Gansfeld experiment and things like that. Now, that's the sensory deprivation one that we did when we were out at Fairbridge, and I've done it before at Fremantle Prison, and that's a very interesting one to do if you've never done it. He's got speechless.
Yeah, I'm trying to think on my toes. I told you as soon as you said we're recording. It's
yeah.
With me.
Well, we're flying off the cuff tonight.
Do you know what? I'm preoccupied with trying to figure out who this other show is that you've been talking about.
Which other show is that?
The one with the two girls. Or the two ladies, I should say.
Oh!
I've got no idea. I'm racking my brain. I'm going, no, well, it's not Two Girls, One Ghost. That is not a reference to an adult movie.
Sorry to be on the phone while I'm having a look.
Hey, Gary, wouldn't it be smarter to use the desktop that's sitting in front of you?
Yeah, it would, but I don't have all the apps on there with the... I'm going to have a look. Oh,
what have you been told about using your phone during dinner time?
I'm not eating, so... Alright, I don't think it's Paramount Plus.
Apparently, there's one to check out for you then, Gary. There's Wonder Woman, Superstars of Paranormal.
Okay.
I'm just having a look. It's got Amy Bruni from Kindred Spirits, Cindy Koza from The Holzer Files. The Holzer Files, that's one I haven't watched yet, but I've been told to watch.
Yes, yeah.
Chelsea Ladden from Destination Fear and Katrina Weidman from Portals to Hell.
I think that Holzer Files is one of the best out there.
Have you watched it?
I've watched a couple of them, yeah.
See, here's a big one for you. Talking about paranormal hunters and...
I feel bad looking down while we're doing this show, but I'm trying to find this bloody thing.
Because you're still talking. Would you classify the shows like Skinwalker Ranch and what was the other one that spun off of that, which was... Now I've lost it. because you had Skinwalker Ranch, The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, and Hunt for the Skinwalker. Would you put them in the same sort of category, being UFO, paranormal?
I wouldn't say it as a paranormal or ghost hunting show, but definitely that left of center thing that we're all about. Now, funny you bring that up, because one of my favourite shows of all, again, it's a travelly type one, and that's the old Destination Truth.
Yeah, I've spoken about this one lots.
I love that show. I love that show. Some of the places, I love the idea of travelling to these far off locations, because it's an adventure in itself just to get there, and then to set up and do some of these investigations that they get to do. It's brilliant. Actually, now another one that's just come to mind. Right now, the host of this show that I'm just about to mention has actually already said he's going to come on our show as a guest later in the year, and that is Fact or Faked. Have you ever watched that?
No.
Watch it. No. Watch it. They actually do. What they do is they meet up in a room at the start, have a bit of a chat, and they'll watch videos from YouTube that are doing the rounds, and then they'll go, okay, can we fake that? Can we do this? And I think there's 4, 5, 6.
Are they on Netflix? Like that.
Are they?
Oh, maybe American Netflix.
I downloaded them a long time ago. But
do you wear an eye patch?
Yeah. Anyway, shut up. What they would do is they would pick 2 of the videos out, the ones that they watched, and they would then go out, visit the location, and if it was captured, like I said, captured on film, they would get the actual camera, and like what they would then do is try to reproduce it, and then they would say, okay, this was easily faked, or we couldn't get it quite right, maybe there was something to it. Now, in the case of if there was a paranormal one and a ghost or something like that, once they decided if it could be faked or not, then they would go ahead and do an actual investigation using the stuff that we would use. And I actually really enjoyed that show as well, because they would debunk so much, but I thought it was funny that some of the extents that they would go to fake something, they'd spent a lot of money. Now, any normal Joe who's out there wants to go, I'm going to do a video and fake people out. I can't see them getting as intricate as what some of the stuff that they get up to, you know. And it's a good show. It's worth watching.
But people will spend money for views if they've got that money there.
Some of these videos go back years, you know.
Okay.
And some of them you watch and you go, yeah, that's faked, but I don't know how you've done it. Some of them you can see straight up how they've done it, you know. And then others are just, that actually might be real.
People used to pay money to watch magicians. So.
If that comes through on the microphone, it was my leather arm hitting the thing. It wasn't me farting, by the way. Just putting the disclaimer up there. It's not doing it now to prove a point. Bloody chairs. Oh, no.
Yes.
So what do you think of that, guys? Yeah. There you go. We're playing with our buttons now, so... And I'm still trying to find this thing. I don't know what app it's on.
But the thing is, though, you can hear the noise my button makes.
Well, I can hear the button... the noise that my button makes.
Gary.
Come on, this is the last one I'm going to look at.
Have you found it yet?
No. Unless I'm actually flicking straight over it, because my brain will not register it because it was that dumb. I mean, they did a Ouija board, right? Now, I've done board sessions before, and what I didn't like about this one is when you saw, because they did a lot of close-ups on the planchette and stuff like that, you actually see this lady's hand on there, and as it starts to move, you see her hand go like this. You see that come down, which means, yeah, she's about to push. You know, if it's just going to go for the slide, she's not prepping it by doing that. And they totally bought it, and I was like, no, this is fake. This is fake. So, you just got to be careful watching a lot of these shows.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look. When it comes to someone physically touching and making movements, it's... don't know if I could watch a board session. Like, I haven't done a board session, haven't sat in a board session. It doesn't really interest me too. But when you have
They
that
are
much human
interesting.
when you have that much people with their own interactive and what they can and can't do, who's to say that the person sitting next to you or the person after that is not moving it? All it takes them to say is, "Oh no, it wasn't me." It's just it takes all credibility away from it.
Well, when we did our board session, see, they all put their hands on like that, and I said no, just put one finger on, because
Yeah,
when your finger's like that, if you're going to move it, you've got to
you can see.
you've got to adjust your finger, and you can see it. And when it starts to move, and then at one point there was only two of us with our finger on the planchette, and they were barely touching it, and like they had their hand like that, but it was coming back this way, so there was no way they could. The only way they could push it was to push it towards me, but it was going back towards them. There's no way they could literally drag it, and I know I wasn't pushing it, so no, there is something to it, but you've got to be careful with that. It's like I say to everybody, you open a door when you start a spirit, well, you do with a lot of things that we do, but you need to be able to close that door when you're done, because if you leave that door open, it's like leaving your front door open to your house. You know, anybody can walk in or out. You've got no control over that unless you shut that door and lock it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to split this into two. I don't know how long we're recording for now. It doesn't matter. But on the topic,
we've gone over, but
that's all right. On the topic of Ouija boards, have you seen? I don't know. I've seen them in a few videos of people have done lives on Facebook and other things, where it's a stand about yay tall with a yes, no, maybe, a little hanging rod, and they flick it around.
Oh, the pendulum.
Asking, yeah.
It's like scrying. It's like scrying.
I can't for the life of me believe in what those put out. Whether I like I said, haven't touched one, haven't seen someone actually in person use one. Don't know how they work.
I've used a pendulum, and it's much like when we do
magnets.
When we do dowsing rods and things. No, because it's usually a crystal or something like that, which it does have a bit of metal there, but it's all about when we would do something. You know, when we use the rods and stuff, everybody says, "Are you manipulating? Is the wind getting it?" or things like that. It's the same arguments with just about anything that we do, but it's about holding the chain so the pendulum's sitting down, and it's the old yes or no, the same as the rods.
These aren't pendulum. I'll have to get a photo and send you a photo.
Okay.
These things have their own stand, and you literally flick it, and it wobbles and moves around, and it does its own thing. These are really weird. You don't. So it's not. You're not holding a string with a.
Okay.
Yeah. No. This is. Yeah. It's. I don't know what the heck they're called. I saw a video of them, but I was like, nah, I don't know, because it's the same sort of movement when you're using using the same polarity with a magnet that pushes it away.
Yeah.
Same sort of movement. I'm going. Don't know about this.
Nah. Anyway, I think we'll get going in a minute. But what I promise you all I will do, I will find the name of that show, and I will put it up on the screen every time we mention we're talking about it, the name of it, so at least we know what we're talking about, because I can't for the life of me remember the name of it. It's pretty bad. It's really, and I still haven't watched it to the end.
Well, I just wanted to watch it for the laughs now that you say it's that bad. Is it awkward bad, or is it just like you've gone over the top? What are you doing bad?
It's, and sorry to use this word, but it's bimbotic bad.
Okay,
it's like watching two bimbos think they know something about something. They don't know shit about anything, but they're going for it anyway. So good on them for getting and having a go, but they don't know any of the facts that people who do investigate know about. And I think they could be making a right mess for other people to clean up afterwards. And they just do it all. And like I said, you know, you see them doing their makeup in the morning and laughing and giggling and singing and prancing around in their next to nothings, and that's not what a TV show's about. You know, that's getting them the ratings of all the teenagers and stuff like that. You know, I mean, there's obviously a lot of people out there that know who this singer and who this actress are, who are fans, who will watch it, because I have seen on some of the pages on Facebook people talking about this show, which is where I first thought, oh, they're all raving about it. And then I watched it and I go, no.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sex sells. And for people like myself and you, that we don't have the body to sell sex.
Speak for yourself. But no.
Cue the Barry White.
If we get 100 subscriptions on our YouTube channel, I'll take my shirt off. No, I take that back because we'll drop back to zero.
And if we get an extra 10, he'll keep his clothes on.
If we get an extra 100, I will put a jumper on top. Anyway, I think that's a good place to finish the show because
I'll wear a hijab.
Oh, you should not have said that.
Why? There is nothing racist about that.
No, I guess not.
We're all allowed to wear clothes.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it up to you guys what you want to do. So, actually, I was going to say until tomorrow night when we were going to be testing out our talkback, but I just realised that this will actually go to air just after we've done it because it's going to go to air tomorrow. This one.
So earlier this evening.
Yeah, so earlier this evening we tested out our new talkback and we hope it went really well. To be continued.
We need friends.
We do. It's pretty sad, two guys talking on a Thursday night like this.
It is.
So, anyway, until later, take it easy, guys.
See ya.